Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. I am so excited to be starting a new series called Crafting with You series, and this is episode 1 of 4. So these are the stamp set and dies. I did do 101 on the dies. This is just a recap. So these are the dies for the stamped image on the die cutting machine. There's one for the easel. This one is for the brushes, the sewing machine, the basket, balls of wool, the floral details, and the tiny flower, and a little heart. So those are all the stamped images. Then these are the extras. So you've got the embroidery hoop, the trimmer, pair of scissors, the ruler, hearts, stars and a flower, 2 pairs of the wooden part of the cotton reel, and these are the ones that go on top, which are embossed, which represent the thread, and then you've got the buttons as well. So those are the dies. These are the stamps, and there's 4 sayings along here. Life is better when you're crafting. You inspire me with love, and sending a handmade hug. So in the first of the series, I'm going to be featuring the easel. So we'll need the easel die, the pair of hearts, the basket, and the paintbrush die. You'll need a block E to do the background for this. It's a technique called smooshing. Now, unfortunately, they have discontinued doing the shimmery white cardstock. So if you don't want your cardstock to get too wet by just simply using ordinary basic white paper, I suggest you use the basic white thick. So this piece has been cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and in metric will be 9.5 centimeters by 13.5 centimeters. Then you need a matte layer for underneath the basic white, and this has been cut at 3 7/8 by 5 5/8, which is 10 centimeters by 14 centimeters in pecan pie. The card base is in lemon lolly. Well, it's actually half an A4 sheet, so it's approximately 5.78 inches by 8 1/4 inches. So in metric that will be 14.5 by 21 centimeters. For the inside of the card, you need a 3 3/4 by 5 1/2 inch basic white piece, and that is the equivalent of 9.5 by 14 centimeters. You need some scraps of basic white to stamp your easel, and the paintbrushes and basket. You'll also need a scrap of Lost Lagoon to die cut the hearts. The inks I'm using are Lemon Lolly, Lost Lagoon and Pecan Pie, and also the Lost Lagoon Stamp and Write marker. You don't have to buy the whole of the Subtles pack just to get this. In fact, it's part of a core colour markers. You can find it on page 125, and these are the new core colours. So in fact there are 11 markers, 1 in each of the new core colour, which replaced the ones that left last year. And it lists it here in the side. So the 11 new core colours are Azure Afternoon, Berry Burst, Blueberry Bushel, Bubble Bath, Fresh Freesia, Lemon Lime Twist, Lemon Lolly, Lost Lagoon, Misty Moonlight, Pecan Pie and Pretty Peacock. They have reconfigured the markers, so on the brush end where the thicker line is, it will still be the same. But on the other end, the bullet end, It's no longer a pen, it's going to be like a felt tip. And last but not least, I'm going to be using the Adhesive Back Solid Gems, and they come from the Fresh as a Daisy suite on page 140. In addition, you need a water spritzer and you need to protect your work surface. So I'm going to put a silicone mat down there, so excuse the glare. You need a E-block, a water spritzer and a kitchen towel. You have two options. In this smooshed background technique, you can either use your ink pad and just do that and then spritz it with water, but I prefer to do it with a marker pen so that it will be a little bit more random. I'll use the brush end and just scribble over this. You can see where you scribbled if you just tilt it. Okay, and then use the spritzer pen, and you don't want too much water on it, because remember, make sure the nozzle is pointing away from you and directly onto your block. So spray it about 6 inches away. You don't want it too wet, otherwise it will make your card drip. Make sure that's the right piece, and I'm going to stick that on top of my block and then just press. And I have a random image like that, and you want to allow it to dry before you stamp on it. So I'm just going to clean this and remove it. I've applied adhesive to the back of this, and let's glue it to the pecan pie matte layer. Make sure there's an even border all round. And I'll glue that onto this layer here so I don't mislay it. Now sadly, the Stamparatus has now been discontinued. Stampin' Up had an ongoing court case with she who will not be named, but I'm sure that any crafters will be aware. I'm going to carry on using mine. I'm not going to discontinue using it just because Stampin' Up isn't selling it anymore. So those of you who've got one, hang on to it. I suppose I should use it behind the scenes. I'm going to stamp the paint brushes as well, but what I'm going to do is take off the brush, the ink for the brushes itself, but only keep the top bit. Because I want to stamp the bottom with the brush handles. Then I'm just going to cut this off, pop that back on, and stamp one in pecan pie. Before I stamp the sentiment, I'm going to stamp the flowers as a background in Lemon Lolly. Oh no, never mind. I should have cleaned the stamp properly, shouldn't I? But this is real, so you can see my mistakes as well. That's what comes of being lazy sometimes. Never mind. Now we can stamp the sentiment on top, and I want to stamp the basket, but I'll stamp off first. I'll stamp it to the side here. just about squeeze it in. Then I'll go and die cut the pieces. So I want to die cut my pieces, and I'm just using washi tape to secure it so it doesn't move, and then run that through the machine. So here's your usual cutting sandwich: platform 1, platform 2, the thin die adapter, the first of the base plates, platform 3, cardstock die cuts on top with cutting edge face down, and a second platform 3. So I'll do that off camera. I've put adhesive on the back and just glued the brushes inside the basket. Now I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the easel to raise it. So I've taken all the backing away from the dimensionals, and then I'll put the basket round about there. Glue the larger heart to the basket and the smaller heart up here. Pop a large adhesive back gem down here and a smaller one here and a medium-sized one above this. Apply adhesive to the back of the basic white card and glue it inside. Make sure it's the right way round. Leave an even border on all 4 sides. Bring back the lemon lolly ink. Just stamp the flower. Use the Lost Lagoon pen to draw around the leaves. Actually, I've got more control with this tip here. Oops, I forgot to record it. But anyway, I've coloured over it with the Lost Lagoon pen. So that's the card finished. That's episode 1 with a smoosh background technique featuring the easel, the basket and the brushes. So pop back for episode 2 this Friday. Thanks for joining me today. All the supplies are listed below this video in the show more section. You can read more about it on my blog. There's a link to the blog post below this video as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.